It is very good in the quietness of the sanctuary to be reminded of the way by which our lives are held together by trust. The trust of the little child in the arms of his mother, the trust of the body when it gives up to rest and sleep with no possible guarantee that it will ever awaken again. The trust of the bird in the air, of the fish in the water, the trust that we have lifted now to the great expressions of faith and devotion that there is an overall brooding spirit that will not let us go even though there are moments when we cry out in the night because the night is long and dark and the day seems to have lost its memory of the road back. We thank Thee, our Father, for all of the reminders of Thy grace expressed in these little but important and crucial manifestations of Thyself. Teach us, even as little children, how to act where we are in Thy trust, so that the fears that haunt us, that dog our footsteps, the anxieties that leap out of the shadows as soon as we come to rest, the disappointments, the disillusionments, the despairs, all may be cradled in ways that will take from them their power to hurt and to destroy. We thank thee, our Father, for so great a privilege to trust thee, to trust thee. On the seventh day, therefore, God could not rest. In the morning and the evening, he busied himself with terrible and beautiful concoctions. And in the twilight of the seventh day, he finished that which is of more import than the beasts of the earth, and the fish of the sea, and the lights of the firmament. And he called it imagination, because it was made in his own image, and those unto whom it is given shall see God. And this from Commander Bird's alone. About 3 o'clock in the morning of June the 2nd, I had another lucid phase. I tried without success to force my body into sleep. The sleeping pills were on the shelf. The flashlight fingered the bottle. I took it down and dumped the pellets into my cup palm. There were more than 24, white and round. They bespoke a lovely promise. I reached for the bottle, but then I stopped. It was impossible to go on like this. I should become a madman, shrinking from every shadow and touch of pain. I found a match and lighted a candle. An unused sheet of paper lay on the bunk on top of the diary, and I wrote these words. The universe is not dead. Therefore, there is an intelligence there, and it is all-pervading. At least one purpose, possibly the major purpose of the intelligence, is the achievement of universal harmony, striving in the right direction for peace, harmony. Therefore, as well as the achievement of it, is the result of accord with that intelligence. It is desirable to effect that accord. The human race, then, is not alone in the universe. Though I'm cut off from human beings, I'm not alone. For untold ages, man has felt an awareness of that intelligence. Belief in it is the one point where all religions agree. It has been called by many names. Many call it God. It is working, this spirit, for the achievement of universal harmony. We begin, as I said, some time ago, 2 weeks or 3 weeks, some days ago, another journey on community and the will of God. You may recall that the foundation was laid for this but I will touch the foundation, take the terrapin off of it, and then we will go on. It is my basic thought in working on this line of creative movement of the mind and spirit that community is indigenous to life. It is a part of the structure of life. And as soon as I say that, I realize that that isn't quite right. But I don't know how to say it any other way. It is inherent in the characteristic of life. And by that I mean that wherever we see life working, or wherever we see life, we see that which is trying to achieve within the reach of itself harmony, order, wholeness, inner integration. It is trying to actualize or fulfill its potential. Now, I am using the word community in this series to describe, not to define, but to describe this experience of the achieving of fulfillment on the part of any particular expression of life wherever we find it. Whether it is the grass that keeps coming back trying to get to seed, or whether it is the journey of the egg until it becomes a chicken and another egg. Whatever the journey is, I'm using the term community to describe this cycle. It is an inner experience. Now, in the creation story, we see a very dramatic form of this. The story is very familiar to you, and I'm referring especially this morning to the story of how the world got underway as found in our own tradition. Adam and Eve and all the various things that had been created, living together in community. Harmony, order, innocence. Until one day, the serpent said to Eve, who in the story was really one of the potentials in Adam. We need not take that too literally. he said to her, you think you are free? Of course I am. We can do anything we want to. We have all of our needs supplied. Everybody's in harmony. Nobody ever fusses. Nobody gets mad. There just isn't any disorder anywhere. It's just it's tranquility in essence and in fact. Well, if everything is so peaceful, why is it that you do not rest any time under that tree over there? Now, why would you ask that? See, you started something. Why would you ask that? Well, why shouldn't I? If you have freedom of movement, then that means movement everywhere. But no, if there's movement everywhere, there can be no sense of freedom of movement. For freedom of movement means with reference to some place that's fixed. It's the thing we forget often about what freedom means. But there was no time for any philosophic argument here. So, the result of the whole thing was that the serpent said, if you eat the fruit of the tree, then you won't die. But you will be as wise as God. And he does not want this to happen. So don't you let yourself be fooled. And she wasn't fooled. She took it. She ate it. But it wasn't really eaten until Adam ate it. So he ate it. And when he ate it, then things began to happen. The first, he set in motion a series of actions which his initial choice precipitated. But after that, they were not related to him at all. A choice, when made, broke the harmony. And the first way this broken harmony, this broken community manifest itself was in the logic of the events that was set in motion. There is a dimension about life that seems always to be impersonal, that seems to be unable to take us into account once we take the initial step of setting into motion a process. Adam in the story makes the choice. And there moved out from his choice in the story one action leading to another action and another and another and another and another, because this is a vibrant, living universe. I remember many years ago, first time I came to California. First time I went to California, sorry. I went to see the planetarium in Griffith Park in Los Angeles. I had a note from a man in Washington to the director of this planetarium, when I delivered the note, he said, well, I'd like to show you around. And he and I were walking down one of the long corridors in the planetarium, and I was on the ragged edge of my hay fever. And I was talking and trying not to sneeze, because when I sneeze, it is something. So I held myself as much as I could, and of course this just made the thing worse. And finally, without any preliminaries, I gave one of these tremendous things, and he stopped in his track and he looked at me, and this is what he said: "What a cosmic disturbance!" And and I sort of smiled. I reacted to it, but he said, "I'm serious." And then, as we walked on, he began talking to me in language that using terms I did not understand, about sound waves and all I did was to set in motion by one act a movement that may still be going on. In a living universe that is always structured with a bias towards harmony. At any point in it, a solitary expression of life may set in motion something that multiplies itself, and at the same time that calls forth from the universe a movement of balance, of balance. And this is what we see when community was broken in the myth of creation. Now, the second choice, the second aspect here had to do with the element of personal responsibility. Now, please follow me. Initially, you see, when Adam in the story makes the choice, he sets in motion things that are really independent of him, in a sense. As expressed in the curse, is the way God spells the curse out. This will happen to the woman, this will happen to thorns and thistles, this will happen to the serpent. All of this set in motion, and now Adam is back here and the movement goes on. Now the second, the element of personal responsibility. I am naked. This is the first form that it took. He became conscious of himself. And this gave him a feeling of being over against all the rest of creation. He had lost his innocence, and he had become knowledgeable. Is there something inherent in the loss of innocence through knowledge that has to express itself in the form of guilt? What is your experience about this? Is there something about knowledge as contrasted with innocence that has in it an element of struggle? Is it that in knowledge the individual now has to achieve the equilibrium of tension, whereas before he had a sense of equilibrium because there was no tension? So that the problem is not to get rid of the tension, perhaps, but to keep the tension in balanced tension? Is there some contribution that is a necessitous contribution to the ultimate achievement of the fullest potential of man that is to be found in guaranteeing for a time interval the experience of innocence? Think about it. Suppose there were no experience in your past, no experience of innocence. No time when there were not those who built shelters that kept you from knowing the nature of the storm. Suppose in your past there had been no time when doors were closed and you could have the sense of being snug and secure. Suppose from the beginning you had to wrestle with your environment as if you were as old as you are now and as wise as you are now. What is the nature of the loss if in the organized life of man we are unable to guarantee the childrenness of children, so that there will be the grounding in innocence, which will so fill the life with the rumor of its essence, that once the innocence is lost through knowledge or what have you, there is something deep in the center of the spirit of the child that is always working to rediscover that which was lost. If this is true for the individual, it must be true for the race. And this is what the story is about. Somewhere in the dim memory of the race is the rumor that the true relationship between all living things is the relationship of harmony. So, if there were no such
memory in the race, there would be no confidence in the possibility of doing something about the disorder in society. No confidence in doing anything about the possibility of creating a synthesis out of the antitheses and theses by which we are surrounded. No confidence that the contradictions of life are not final contradictions, but always, whether we are Christian or Hindu or Buddhist or animist, wherever we find the creation stories told, they are trying to say over and over again, there is a memory of the race which has to do with a moment when all the terrible things you're going through now did not exist. So gird up your loins, organize the resources of your life, bring to bear upon the disorder all the creative genius you can muster, because there is inherent in the experience of all living stuff the push towards the actualizing of the potential. And this is true because of the memory of a time when the potential was actual. So, God drove Adam and Eve out of the garden, and he placed an angel with a flaming sword, cherubim and seraphim, to keep Adam out. So, all of the life of man is trying to find a way by which once again we can get past the angel with the flaming sword, back into the Garden of Eden, not as innocent human beings, but as good human beings. The man is good when he's learned how to distill beauty out of ugliness, peace out of pain, order out of chaos. This is the triumph of personality. This is to be good, while only the child is innocent. Our words are so futile, so broken, but they are the best that we have, our Father. Make of them a living sacrament, that they may carry to our hearts what it is that thou wouldst have us know. Grant unto us thy peace, our Father, as we separate one
from the other.